In this video, we will explore 3 different types of energy and solve some numerical examples. We will look at kinetic energy that is concerned with the energy of moving bodies. Afterwards, we will explore 2 types of potential energy, namely gravitational potential energy that is related to the position of a body, and elastic potential energy that is related to the deformation of a body. We will begin by considering an object with mass m, moving under the action of a constant resultant force F that is directed along the direction of motion. From Newton's second law of motion, the force will produce an acceleration given by F equals ma. Now suppose that the speed of the object changes from an initial speed u to a final speed v, and the object undergoes a displacement of magnitude s. These quantities can be linked together using the equation of motion v squared equals u squared plus 2as. Rearranging for the acceleration, we can substitute this into Newton's second law, and then multiply this equation by the displacement s. We will now interpret this equation as follows. The quantity half times mass times speed squared is called the kinetic energy of the object, and this is defined as the energy the object possesses due to its motion. So the first term on the right side represents the final kinetic energy, and the second term represents the initial kinetic energy. Now recall that the product Fs is the work done by the resultant force F. Moreover, this equation is known as the work-energy theorem, and says that the work done on an object is equal to the change in the object's kinetic energy. As an aside, recall that the momentum of an object is given by its mass multiplied by its velocity. Rearranging for velocity and substituting this into the kinetic energy equation, we can get an equation that can calculate the kinetic energy of an object from its momentum. In the following question, we want to calculate the work done on the box to increase its speed. Using the formula for kinetic energy and substituting in the relevant values, we get an initial kinetic energy of 36 joules and a final kinetic energy of 144 joules. We can then recall that the work done is equivalent to the change in kinetic energy, so calculating the difference between these values gives 108 joules for the work done by the horizontal force. Now let's consider the work done by the gravitational force. Recall that the gravitational force on an object is given by its mass multiplied by the acceleration of freefall. If we have an object with mass m and we let it fall downwards by a vertical height delta h, the gravitational force and the displacement act in the same direction. So the equation for work done reduces down to force multiplied by displacement, which is then given by mg multiplied by delta h. The falling object has gained kinetic energy. This energy must have come from somewhere, and it is from gravitational potential energy that was stored in the object when it was raised to its position. If we consider the act of raising the object a vertical height delta h at a constant speed, an upwards force equal to the gravitational force will have been applied. This tells us that the work done in lifting the box is mg delta h. This work does not become kinetic energy for the box because as it is lifted, the gravitational force acts opposite to the direction of motion. The angle between the gravitational force and the displacement will be 180 degrees. Cosine 180 degrees will be equal to -1, so gravity does an equal amount of negative work on the body as it is lifted. Gravitational potential energy is the energy an object has because of its position in a gravitational field. An object gains gravitational potential energy as it is raised in the field, and loses gravitational potential energy when it falls. It is also important to note that this equation can only be used accurately when we are close to the surface of the Earth, as this is where the value of g can be considered constant. This question wants us to relate gravitational potential energy to the change in altitude of the person. We can calculate the change in height by rearranging the gravitational potential energy equation and substituting in the given values. Moreover, the energy must be in joules, and g is equal to 9.8 meters per second squared from the data booklet. This will give 71.8 meters for the change in altitude of the person. Moreover, we can use the same expression for gravitational potential energy whether the person's path is curved or straight. The work done by or against the gravitational force depends only on the starting and ending points, not on the path between them. So gravitational potential energy is related only to their change in height. We will now discuss another type of potential energy known as elastic potential energy. Suppose we have a spring whose left end is fixed to a wall, while an object that is free to move is attached to its right end. If the object applies a force to compress or stretch a spring, we often see the spring returning to its original shape due to the restoring force of the spring. So work is done when the spring is deformed, and there is a potential for work to be done by the restoring force. This energy stored in a deformed object is referred to as elastic potential energy. To calculate the work done in compressing or stretching a spring, recall that the restoring force is given by Hooke's law, where k is the spring constant and x is the extension. To compress or stretch a spring by a length delta x from its equilibrium length, the applied force must be equal in magnitude to the restoring force. So this will have a magnitude given by k delta x. Since this force varies with distance, a graph of force against extension will show a straight line through the origin. The work done can then be calculated by the area under the force extension graph. The area of a triangle is half base times height, with base length delta x and height k delta x. So the work done is given by half k times delta x squared. Similar to earlier, we use this result to calculate the elastic potential energy of an object, and we define it as the energy stored in an object when it is elastically deformed. However, this equation only applies when the object has not exceeded their elastic limit, as this is when force and extension are no longer proportional. This final question wants us to find the elastic potential energy stored in the spring. To do this, we first need the magnitude of the spring constant k, which can be found from rearranging Hooke's law. X refers to the extension of the spring in meters, so we first have to convert the lengths into meters, and then calculate the difference to get an extension of 0.04 meters. The spring constant then has a value of 800 newtons per meter. Using these values in the elastic potential energy equation then results in 0.64 joules of potential energy stored in the spring. We will now provide a final summary of the key understandings from this video. We saw that kinetic energy is the energy an object possesses due to its motion, and this can be calculated from the object's mass and velocity, or alternatively its mass and momentum. Moreover, the work done by a force on an object is equal to the change in the object's kinetic energy. When an object is close to the surface of the Earth, we saw that the gravitational potential energy of an object can be calculated as follows, and this is the energy stored in an object due to its position in a gravitational field. Finally, we saw that elastic potential energy is the energy stored in an elastic object such as a spring when it is compressed or stretched, provided that the object has not exceeded the elastic limit. This now concludes our video on kinetic and potential energy. Thank you for watching.